What if the biggest reason you're still struggling in the market has nothing to do with your strategy, your indicators, or even the trades you take? Most people believe profitable trading is about finding the perfect setup, but the traders who consistently win understand something far more powerful, and almost nobody talks about it. Imagine making the exact same decisions with complete confidence, even after a loss, while everyone else is trapped in fear, doubt, and emotional chaos. That transformation doesn't begin on your chart. It begins in your mind. Today, you'll discover the hidden psychological patterns that quietly control every trading decision you make, why intelligent people keep repeating the same costly mistakes, and how a simple shift in the way you think can completely change the way you trade. But here's the interesting part. Each lesson builds on the one before it, and if you skip ahead, the final breakthrough won't make sense. Because the most powerful insight isn't the first lesson. It's the final one, where everything connects and reveals the mindset that separates consistent traders from those who stay stuck in an endless cycle of hope and frustration. As we move through this journey, you may recognize parts of yourself you've never noticed before, and those moments could change far more than your trading results. They could change the way you make decisions in every area of your life. If one idea challenges the way you've been thinking, share your perspective in the comments, because the best breakthroughs often begin with a single honest realization. And if you're serious about developing the mindset that most people never build, subscribe and stay with this journey until the very end, because the lesson waiting in the final chapter may be the one that changes everything. Chapter 1. Why most traders lose before they even enter a trade. Imagine two traders looking at the exact same chart. They see the same price movement, the same pattern, and the same opportunity. One walks away with a calm, disciplined profit. The other exits in panic, chases the market, and ends the day frustrated. The chart wasn't different. The market wasn't unfair. The difference existed long before either trade was placed. Most people think they lose because they haven't found the perfect strategy. They spend months searching for new indicators, new systems, and new predictions, believing the next discovery will finally solve everything. But the surprising truth is that many traders already know enough to become profitable. What they don't know is how their own mind quietly sabotages every decision. Think about your last losing trade. Did the market really force you to break your rules? Or did something inside you convince you that this trade had to work? That small difference changes everything. The human brain naturally hates uncertainty. It wants guarantees. It wants certainty before taking action. But trading offers neither. Every single trade is simply a probability, nothing more, nothing less. Now consider what happens when someone refuses to accept uncertainty. They begin searching for confirmation everywhere. They zoom into smaller time frames. They read endless opinions. They refresh news feeds. They convince themselves they need just one more signal before entering. Ironically, the more certainty they chase, the more confused they become. Then, something interesting happens. After finally entering the trade, fear immediately replaces confidence. Every small price movement feels personal. A tiny pullback feels like failure. A small profit suddenly feels too valuable to lose. Instead of following their plan, they begin reacting emotionally. Notice how quickly the market becomes a mirror. It doesn't simply reflect prices. It reflects patience. It reflects discipline. It reflects self-control. The market exposes beliefs you didn't even know you had. If deep down you believe every loss means you're not good enough, every losing trade becomes an emotional battle instead of a normal business expense. If you believe you must always be right, admitting a mistake feels impossible. Instead of cutting a small loss, you hold on, hoping the market will prove you right. But the market doesn't reward hope. It rewards discipline. This is where most trading journeys quietly fall apart. Not because people lack intelligence, not because they're incapable of learning. They fail because they unknowingly treat every trade like a personal test instead of one small event in a much larger series. The traders who eventually succeed understand something that completely changes their perspective. They stop asking, "Will this trade make money?" Instead, they begin asking, "Did I execute my process correctly?" That single shift removes enormous emotional pressure. Results become temporary. Habits become permanent. And when habits improve, results eventually follow. But this creates a new question that almost nobody asks. If profitable traders no longer depend on being right every time, where does their confidence actually come from? The answer is unexpected, and it changes the way you think about success forever. That's exactly where the next chapter begins. Chapter 2. The mental shift that separates consistent winners from everyone else. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a forest. There are hundreds of paths in front of you, but you can only choose one. You know that some paths will lead to success, while others will end in disappointment. The problem is you cannot know which one is right until you start walking. Trading works the same way. Every trade is simply a decision made with incomplete information. Yet most people expect complete certainty before they act. They believe confidence comes from knowing the future. But that's where they make their biggest mistake. Real confidence has nothing to do with prediction. It has everything to do with preparation. Think about a professional pilot. Before takeoff, they never assume the flight will be perfect. They know unexpected weather, turbulence, and mechanical issues are always possible. Instead of fearing uncertainty, they prepare for it. Their confidence comes from trusting the process they have practiced thousands of times. Profitable traders think the same way. They don't enter a trade because they feel the market is about to move. They enter because their plan tells them the opportunity fits their rules. If the trade wins, they follow the plan. If it loses, they still follow the plan. The outcome doesn't change the process. This is the mental shift that most people never make. Imagine flipping a coin that's slightly weighted. It lands on heads 55% of the time and tails 45% of the time. If you flip it only once, anything can happen. But if you flip it 1,000 times, the advantage becomes obvious. Trading is remarkably similar. One trade means almost nothing. 10 trades tell you very little, but 100 well-executed trades begin to reveal the true power of consistency. The problem is that most traders judge themselves after every single result. One loss makes them doubt their strategy. One win makes them feel invincible. Their emotions rise and fall with every candle, leaving them exhausted before they ever build real consistency. Successful traders refuse to play that emotional game. They measure success differently. Success is following the plan. Success is managing risk. Success is remaining disciplined when emotions demand something else. Ironically, the less they obsess over making money, the more money they often make. That's because they focus on the only thing they can truly control, the quality of their decisions. Over time, something incredible begins to happen. Fear starts to lose its grip. Patience becomes easier. Discipline stops feeling like a struggle and starts becoming part of their identity. They no longer see themselves as people chasing profits. They become professionals executing a proven process. And once your identity changes, your behavior naturally follows. But even with the right process, one invisible force continues to destroy countless traders. It doesn't appear on a chart. It isn't found in the news. It lives inside every emotional reaction you have. Unless you learn to recognize it, it can quietly erase months of progress in a single moment. That invisible force is what we'll uncover in the next chapter. Chapter 3. How to trade without fear, hope, or emotional attachment. Imagine placing a trade, watching the price move against you, and feeling nothing. No panic, no desperate urge to move your stop-loss, no hope that the market will magically turn around. Just calm observation and complete trust in your plan. For most traders, that sounds impossible. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they unknowingly connect their self-worth to every single trade. The moment money is at risk, the brain stops seeing the trade as a simple probability. Instead, it treats it like a personal judgment. A winning trade whispers, "You're smart." A losing trade shouts, "You're failing." And that's where emotional attachment begins. The market has no opinion about you. It doesn't know your goals. It doesn't care how hard you've worked. It simply moves. Yet the human mind constantly creates stories around those movements. A small loss becomes proof that your strategy is broken. A winning streak convinces you that you finally mastered the market. Both stories are dangerous because neither is based on reality. Reality is much simpler. Every trade is independent. Every setup has uncertainty. Every outcome is temporary. Now picture a professional poker player sitting at a table. They know they can make the correct decision and still lose the hand. That possibility doesn't frustrate them because they understand the difference between a good decision and a good outcome. Trading demands the exact same mindset. When you confuse outcomes with decisions, emotions take control. When you separate them, clarity returns. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless, it means refusing to let emotions become your decision maker. Notice what happens after a losing trade. Most people immediately want revenge. They feel an urgent need to win their money back. They increase their position size, they ignore their rules. They chase the next opportunity before it truly exists. The market hasn't changed. Their emotional state has. That single emotional reaction often creates losses much larger than the original one. Now think about the opposite situation. A trader wins several trades in a row. Confidence slowly turns into overconfidence. Risk begins to increase. Rules become optional. Discipline fades because success creates the illusion that mistakes no longer matter. Ironically, fear and greed often produce the same result. Both convince you to abandon your process. The solution isn't fighting your emotions. It's understanding them before they take control. When you recognize fear, you don't have to obey it. When you notice greed, you don't have to act on it. When hope appears, you can remind yourself that hope is not a trading strategy. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates discipline. Discipline creates consistency. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop reacting to every candle. You stop celebrating every win as proof of greatness. You stop treating every loss as proof of failure. Instead, you become emotionally steady, regardless of what the market does. And that emotional stability becomes one of your greatest advantages. But even emotional control isn't the final destination. There is one last transformation that turns discipline from something you force into something you naturally live. It's the shift that quietly separates temporary success from lasting consistency. And that's where the final chapter begins. Chapter 4. Building the unshakable mindset of a consistently profitable trader. Imagine looking back 1 year from today and realizing that the biggest change wasn't your account balance. It wasn't your strategy. It wasn't the market. The biggest change was the person making the decisions. This is the transformation that most traders never expect. They spend years trying to master the market, only to discover that the real challenge was mastering themselves. Here's something worth thinking about. Every profitable trader has losing days. Every successful trader experiences uncertainty. Every disciplined trader feels fear from time to time. The difference is not the absence of emotion. The difference is the presence of self-control. Self-control isn't built during winning streaks. It's built on the difficult days. The day you follow your trading plan after 3 losses in a row. The day you walk away from a setup that doesn't meet your rules. The day you accept a small loss instead of allowing it to become a disaster. Those are the moments that shape your identity, because every decision sends a message to your brain. I keep my promises. I trust my process. I don't need to chase the market. Over time, those messages become beliefs, and beliefs become habits. Eventually, discipline no longer feels like something you force yourself to do. It becomes who you are. Think about someone who exercises every morning. They don't wake up asking if they feel motivated. They simply act because that's part of their identity. Profitable traders operate the same way. They don't rely on confidence. They rely on consistency. They don't measure success by today's profit. They measure success by whether they honored their process. Ironically, this way of thinking removes much of the pressure that causes poor decisions. When your goal shifts from making money to making quality decisions, something remarkable happens. The profits become a byproduct, not the objective. The objective becomes excellence. Excellence in preparation, excellence in patience, excellence in execution. That mindset creates something money alone never can: peace. Imagine ending the trading day without regret, not because every trade was a winner, but because every decision reflected your standards. That kind of confidence cannot be taken away by a losing streak. It isn't built on outcomes. It's built on character. and character is what survives every market condition. As you continue your journey, remember this simple truth. The market will always be uncertain. There will always be another headline, another prediction, another opportunity, and another temptation to abandon your plan. But the trader who learns to stay calm while others become emotional gains an advantage that no indicator can provide. The greatest edge in trading isn't hidden inside a chart. It isn't found in secret strategies or perfect predictions. It is found in the quiet ability to think clearly when everyone else is reacting emotionally. Because in the end, profitable trading isn't about defeating the market. It's about defeating the habits that have been defeating you. The moment you stop trying to control what the market will do and start controlling how you respond, you cross the invisible line that separates gamblers from professionals. And that is the mindset that creates lasting success, one disciplined decision at a time.